only did we just see an incredible film that no doubt took a lot from her and continues to as she continues to be in touch with Hanifa, but we are truly blessed to have such an accomplished woman filmmaker in our presence. So Hannah, here we go. I want to just share all of the incredible things that you have done. Academy Award nominated filmmaker, PGA producer Hannah Polak studied acting and theater at the acting school in Wrocław and Warsaw, Poland, and worked in the Theater of Entertainment Chorzo, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing. She graduated with a master's degree from the cinematography division of the Cinematography Institute of the Russian Federation, the VGIK, where she studied under Vadim Yusov, DOP of Andrei Tarkovsky. In 2003, Hannah was awarded Best Producer of Documentary Movies at the International Film Festival in Krakow for Railway Station Ballad. In 2004, Hannah completed The Children of Leningradsky, which was nominated for an Oscar in the category of Best Short Documentary Subject. It also received the Best Documentary Achievement Award from IDA and was nominated for an Emmy Award in 2 categories: Best Documentary and Outstanding Individual Achievement in a Craft, Editing. The Adult American Library Association nominated this film as a notable video, and it received the Gracie Allen Award given by American Women in Radio and Television, amongst many other awards. The Children of Leningradsky explores the lives of Russia's most innocent victims. Hannah has been advocating for the case of homeless children all over the world, contributing to UNICEF's publication covering the 20th anniversary of the Declaration of the Right of the Child. She founded and collaborated with Active Child Aid for her charitable efforts. Hannah was awarded the prestigious Golden Heart Award in 2006, the award for serving the uppermost ideals of mankind, received in the presence of Sophia Loren, Jessica Lange, and millions of viewers on Russian and TV television. She was also awarded the Crystal Mirror Award by Mirror Magazine in Poland, an award that recognizes people of dialogue, those who unite, not divide. Her works have been screened in hundreds of film festivals, including Sundance, IDFA, True False, and FIPA, and they have appeared on major television networks worldwide. In 2014, Hannah completed Something Better to Come, which received the PGA Award nomination. She has lectured on film producing and documentary filmmaking at many universities worldwide, and Hannah is a member of the Producers Guild of America. Please join me in giving a round of applause to Hannah and all of our panelists.
Angels of Sinjar not only documents the atrocities, but it also gives voices to the survivors and their resilience. And so welcome to both of you, and I'm really glad to have you here today and have this conversation. And before we go on with our conversation, I just want to say that we were truly hoping to have a video of a conversation that Hanifa and I were supposed to have while she was in Germany. But unfortunately, as you can imagine, with a lot of the travel and a lot of the things that she experiences, she, I believe, was feeling unwell and was unable to do that. But I know that you stay in touch with her all the time and will be able to fill us in on some of the things that I wanted to ask her. So let's get started. Dr. Shrifi, if you can just take a minute to give us a little bit of the context and the history that kind of set the stage for the genocide in 2014 to begin with.
Yeah, perhaps everyone would endure basically what I have to say. I would say, the world actually, including the Kurds themselves, didn't know much about basically the plight and the aspirations of the Yazidis. It was after 2014 genocide that basically different reports came out. Reports that basically range from accurate to inaccurate, valid to invalid. It was really a contradictory account of the genocide. What was significant, really, that Hannah captures is really the range of the genocide. And I think, this film vividly portrays that. And genocide stories of this nature, primarily, some people may feel it was too much because human endurance really for suffering is very, very limited. And definitely, the genocide basically took out the human side, the depth of the tragedy that occurred, and obviously the contradictions that exist when it comes to the Yazidis or Izadis as they're called. I'd rather basically give the floor to Hannah to express her opinion. But I think, during that time, I was really disturbed. I wrote to the White House, I remember. And before basically the United States got involved, I received an email from the White House for the first time from Obama, the White House. He was at the helm of state then. And I was really, not that really that gave me consolation, but I think basically the world did not really respond when they should have. And including the United States, even though they did, but after the genocide basically had taken place and was taking its toll actually in Sinjar mountain, as we saw in this vivid description and various basic accounts that you provide.
I just would like to first express my really great gratitude to the Women's Voice Now Festival for allowing us to present the film, for you to come, the jury to choose this film, Heidi for all her kindness and making possible for me to come in person to present the film, and coming back to your question, of course to you and to you for this kind presentation. I just finished another film, Something Better to Come, which is a really remarkable story because it took 14 years to film and to complete the film, so I was completely done with documentaries. I said no more. I have enough. I haven't been looking for any film to make. But I had a friend of mine who was more journalist than filmmaker to approach me, and he asked me for help. So he said, I came up to this story and I would like to make the film, but I never made a documentary. Would you help me and would you co-produce with me? And I said, yes, of course I help you, whatever I can do, I help you. So then he asked me a while later if he was going to go to Germany to meet with some of the people who got asylum in Germany, and he asked me if he should take the camera, and I said obviously if you're going and this is your documentation, you should take the camera and you should speak to the people and try to bring some materials. So he did, and he brought these 4 stories of 4 women. One of them was Nadia Murad, but 3 others. One of them, all of them were heartbreaking, but one of them, Sahira's story, was something that's when we have only one Yazidi in Poland living, and he is from the area which speaks more Arabic, close to Mosul, from Bashiga. So he was not able to translate it because it's very specific, the language is very, very difficult, very specific, very local. Even within villages, they can speak a little bit differently. So he brought this one Kurdish man, and when he was translating, he could not translate it straight because he would say, and this motherfucker, and he would, she was saying something, she was saying what was done to her, and this guy was completely, but the story was just so heartbreaking. So I was kind of entrusted with this knowledge, what happened. And this was Sahira who lost her child. She basically had to make a choice. This is the two-lie story, but she had to make a choice between 2 of her children, which one she sacrificed, basically. And she decided to sacrifice the younger one because it had smaller chances for survival. And it's such a heartbreaking story that after hearing it, of course, I thought, it's such an important subject to tell. But this friend of mine, he decided not to follow the story because of some of his situations. So So I called him and he said we met actually, and he said he is not following the story, and he asked me what I plan to do, and I said, this is not my film, it is your film. I don't even know these people. I didn't go to meet them. So I decided to go to Germany, and I went my own path. I met completely different people. I realized when they were showing me the pictures in the phone that the film is really in Iraq. But on this trip I also met Zina, Alia and Mayan, Hanifa's mother, before I went to Iraq. So I didn't know Hanifa yet, so I didn't know they will be really a part of a film, only in Iraq. When I met Hanifa, which I can tell later, it all started to fall in place.
And then you just felt like you had to make this film. Clearly you have something inside you that is going to draw you back to these issues that matter and to documentary filmmaking. So I don't believe you when you say you're done with with documentary filmmaking now or ever, probably. A little bit about then your journey to making this film. I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, I'm moved by this subject and by what's happened to these people, and another thing to actually go to Iraq and make this film a reality. So tell us a little bit about that journey. I mean, even in the film, we see, some real challenges for you in just filming. So let's talk a little bit about the journey of the film, of making the film itself.
So the funny kind of thing which happened in Germany was because I was thinking from the beginning, okay, there are some reports on raped women, and in a way I was even upset about it because I felt that they were victimized for the second time. So there was, for example, a report from one famous news agency entitled "I was raped every day for 1 year," and really made me upset when I saw something like this, because I was feeling this is like we sensationalize this kind of story, like why people are going to watch it, to learn about rape, or I do understand the tragedy of this, but I disagree with the way how it was put. So the one thing which I really didn't want to talk about raped women. I knew that this is if it's a genocide, it is about children, it's about old people, it's about everybody. Also about men, and this is why Said is such an important person for me, because I don't know who suffers more. Maybe men who feel helpless and can't protect the women, or his heart is completely broken. He loved his mother. This was all his life, his family. Everything was taken away, and yet he had to kill, which he did not ask for. Having all this in his memories and in his life is so difficult. So anyway, this was one thing which I really wanted to get. So I met with Dr. Blume, who was one of the people who in 2015, I think, was involved with the German government into bringing 1,200 women and children, and it was kind of a competition, and the competition was won by those who were the most terrible victims of the genocide. So amongst these people was Alia and Zina. And when I met with him, I basically told him, I actually didn't meet with you to conduct an interview, although I do have a camera with me. I may use it or may not use it, but most important for me is what have you witnessed? Where have you been? What have you heard? What is important? And later he told me, he smiled, and he told me later that actually he gave me half an hour of his time, because he was very, very busy at this time. His wife was doing PhD, he was taking care of kids, he's a politician. So he's an extremely busy person, but he spent with me like 3 or 4 hours, and he said that he's very glad about all the questions which I asked, because he thought it will be like always, like always the same kind of about the women, and that's it. and his information was extremely helpful because I got to know about Kocho, I got to know about Sharfadin, about the camps before even going to Iraq. So I had already in my mind a lot of absolutely valuable informations because Dr. Blume, he was in Iraq when they were choosing these people. So he heard thousands of stories from the survivors. And so this is the one thing. And the second thing which was really, really good in Germany, I met some men and I was given a phone number. I didn't know whose phone number it was, but somebody told me, when you will be in Iraq and you need some help, call this number. So I did call the number when I was in Kurdistan, but it was impossible to go into Iraq. So I was in the Kurdish part, which you can travel easily. You can land, you can get the visa for 1 month, you can leave, you can come back, but not Baghdad. I mean, this country was still in the war. The ISIS was still there, Tel Afar was controlled. There were still war atrocities going on. So I tried in Kurdistan to get a permission to go to Sinjar, but it was impossible. I was getting all the refusals, and everybody who I met told me, you know, this is a no for journalists to go. It's not possible. I mean, you have to be really big agency, and I don't know how you do it. So I called this number in which I had. I asked my translator to call a Yazidi person, and when he looked at this, he said, no, this is in Sinjar. There is no point to call because you cannot go anyway. And I said, yeah, but call anyway. Let's see. And he called and he said, like, I don't know how you have this number, but this is really, really high. So it was meant to be. It was meant to be. I was waiting at the checkpoint. They told me to face the Kurdistan. They didn't even let us face Sinjar. And we were waiting for this phone call to happen, and then the phone call happened and the checkpoints opened and I could go. So this was something really. And then when I was there, we were unstoppable. So.
And what I found fascinating in my research is the Yazidis have been through multiple, I mean, I think I read something like 70 previous massacres or genocides, and, you know, for their faith and how, you know, they're considered just like, well, they're not like us Muslims, they're not like us Christians, they're just, you know, and so if you can just give us a little bit of the history, or just lay the groundwork for why this even happened, and specifically at this time in 2014.
Yeah, it was actually predictable. Genocides are predictable, and people do not bring that to their own attention, or those who are influential basically contribute to the occurrence of the tragedy itself. So, you know, in reference to your first question, I should say that they are an ethno-religious minority within basically the Kurdish minority itself. And I noticed in Hana's basically depiction of Sinjar, basically Shangal was, which is the Kurdish name, and then there is basically the Arabic name. You know, this is a torn basically issue between the Kurds and the Yazidis, some of whom basically consider themselves as being Yazidi rather than Kurds, and some Kurdish nationalists believe that they are true fundamentally Kurds. But that is really besides the point. I mean, that contributes to the really the whole issue of genocide. In terms of, yes, I think it is basically the 74th genocide of them, and in more recent history, you know, Saddam Hussein, for instance, Al-Qaeda, and then basically 2014, we had this major basically blow to the integrity and the whole being of a very fragile basically minority. Now, in terms of statistics, you know, accurate statistics are not available in terms of the total population. I have read several basically studies about, you know, what percentage of the population, and for instance, In one study, they say about near 3%. As Hannah accurately portrayed this, of course, we have to magnify girls and basically young women who would repeatedly tortured, but the entirety of the Yazidis have been subject to deportations. They have been subjected to massacres and sexual violence, so on and so forth. And thank you for bringing this up, because we tend to forget, that particular element. Particularly, Said plays a very significant, basically, role, which I totally ignored when I wrote basically a film review for this. I think the real challenge is basically who remains in captivity. That is what your question is addressing. But in terms of the total population, 700,000, 200,000 to 1 million, you see, it's a very wide range, mostly in Sinjar region of Iraq and northern Iraq, but they are everywhere to be basically found along basically the Turkey, Syria, and Iran. But the total concentration and the greatest blow was done to the Yazidis, Izadis, as they call, some of them call themselves Izadi, meaning basically followers of angels, and obviously, and famously called Satan worshippers. They have everything to do with goodness except basically evil, and definitely there was the plunder of their property, disposition, destitution, and there was basically militarism of the Islamic State of Iraq, and also their sexual basically satisfaction. They were seeking basically this, and Islam was used as a justification, and their evil basically, or Satan worshipping, was really an excuse. Going back to your original question, then they say almost 2,800 to 3,000 women and young girls remain in captivity out of the population that is now totally dispersed, and more than 300,000 live in these really tents. And we saw a couple of those tents, and we're under the deplorable condition that the Yazidis basically live.
Show up their bravery, their talents, So this is the time for all of us to kind of come together and do these things. And of course, we can continue, go on and on, because as you say, for example, they have another saying, which is Harke Kandahar, which means Harke is a holy clothes, but Kandahar, as you know, is in Afghanistan, which means these were also in Afghanistan. It was a big group, it was a huge group. Now only Islam was, this was pre-Islam. So, and I find myself a lot of influences, or I would say, if people ask me what for me is the closest the religious to, I think it's into Hinduism, because they have many things like the fire and the peacock and the reincarnation and a lot of things, and the caste system, many things which reminds me, I think, thousands of years, heritage, which is still kept, and their religion is really beautiful. When I speak with these people, they sometimes say, you are more Yazidis than some of the Yazidis, because I think I really get it,
Okay, we are gonna run out of time.
When I went to Baghdad, it was already, I was in this Iraqi side, but I could not go to Baghdad because Tel Afar was still under ISIS control, which is 70 maybe kilometers, I don't know, 50 something miles from Sinjar. So still the front, I was actually going along the front line. I was like this, I was like this. And when I arrived in Baghdad, I was wearing really fancy clothes, funny kind of flowers. but because I knew it's a little bit different than going to Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, when I was completely wearing black and long sleeves, etc. So I think Iraq is still more open. But when I was in the Islamic part, I would put head cover in Mosul, because it's like asking for troubles. You ask basically for being killed or something. I had a short sleeves at the gas station because I was just sitting in the car, and when I got out, oh my God, you know, I got this worst look in my life, which made me actually think the devil is in your head, not in my clothes, you know. It's like something wrong with you, not with me. Because I'm just wearing shirt sleeves, but you already have these dirty thoughts. I don't have them, you know. I'm chaste. I'm not doing this kind of stuff which you have in mind. But anyway, and as far as the sister, you know, Wodha was very young. She was less than 9 years old when she was taken by ISIS. And one of the people who bought her was very, very good for her. He was very young, and he was Muslim, and he was teaching her Muslim prayers and everything. And he never touched her. He just bought her, and he was like her older brother. He was playing with her. And then the time came when they chosen him to blow himself. So it was somehow coming from ISIS, I don't know all the rules, but he was told that he will do it. So he took shower and dress up, and he came to Wodha, and he told her he can keep his computer, which of course was not given to her after he blew his, and he was resold, not in a lucky way. So I think because of this, and of course, when they are children, they get completely radicalized their religion. They completely brainwash, and they really look down upon their religion and the people, how they practice. So it is a very difficult situation now, because some of these people return. She's not the only sister, which two of sisters are really against, because they really were hurt by this, and two of her sisters were. One of them was a little bit maybe less wash, but you know, sometimes she, the first thing which she asked when she returned, she said, "Are the Yazidis are so bad still?" So we kind of joked about it, but
It's hard when they're young. They're so influential, and you know the experiences that they have, and day brainwashing, of course. Any other questions? Sir in the white T-shirt.
Yes, thank you. Being a Yazidi, and then here I do travel myself. It's unfortunately very sad to come across some tragedies that have repeated itself almost every fourth time. But then comes back the question: the religion of Yazidi is about good and God, and let's go back thousands of years. Because they could not have taken anything from Muslim or Christian or Judaism, because they believe they are descendants of Adam and Eve way back in Garden of Eden. That's the sacred land. And their religion, their language, their culture is forbidden. So your punishment will be death. Stoned to dignity from some so-called believer. So now the reality of the belief itself, that means your life is uphung into it. You cannot separate when you believe, when you love. It goes way deeper than we can explain and talk about it here. And our religion, our people, we talk today about fake news and so on and so on. Where we live, it goes on for hundreds, even thousands of years. These lies, this fabrication, this blackmailing, this backstabbing, this stealing, raping. It is a culture. Barbarism live in our neighborhood. Day in, day out. We know what it is. And our religion, our belief, our culture, our language is thousands of years, and it's about the truth, the nature, the love, the air we breathe, the water we drink, the ground we walk on. the sun, they give us the light. That's Yazidi. If you follow us, Yazidi in Kurdistan, like in Rojava, you will see monuments that dates back thousands, 10, 15,000 years. Buildings, villages, area that have people live there, and that's Yazidi land. We still live there, but we are forbidden to live there. We are forbidden to speak. We are forbidden to come, and we didn't have a travel before my generation. We could not travel. Every Kurdian can say that. We couldn't even have a passport. We could not even say we are Kurd. We have, so that means you have an invisible wall, right, among us, the Kurds and Yazidi, especially Yazidi, and the whole world. You cannot see us. Even if you do, you cannot understand us because it's forbidden and it's so manipulated that not a normal person in this world can understand. Especially mother, father, family cannot understand that. It is the devil itself. It's a nightmare we're facing. Genocide 74 times, can you imagine? Not 6 million Jews, but 74 times massacre against them. I thank you for your work, for your time. It's great. I just praise.
You know, if I can if I can say something, you know, I was thinking actually that if Kivyahode, God willing, if it would be possible to make a movie even about the culture and about the religion, it would be very, very beautiful, about the poetry and everything, because I think this is an absolutely great culture, and it is a culture of peace, as Nadia Murad put it in the, you know, in her speech, because I know that the Yazidi people generally have this really peaceful and full of kindness and respect approach to people. And also what you said is very important, because what people don't understand is that the people who surround the Yazidis, not only they disrespect and completely misrepresent this religion, because you do not have the concept of Satan, and yet you are being killed as Satan.
Despise Satan completely, despise the name.
Yeah, I know.
That's the name. Make us crazy. Go away, Satan. That's
Yes.
us, Yazidi, because we love God.
Yeah, but you know, but because somebody has interpreted something, this is why, for example, I wanted to tell the story which is being told in the, for example, in Wikipedia. If you look in Wikipedia, you find this story about supposedly Tausi Melek crying and because he didn't want to commit to men, and the Yazidis told me this is not our story, it's made up. And because of this we are being killed, because then the Muslims take it as their story of someone who was puffed up and didn't want to surrender to God, while this story was supposed to be, we are not puffed up, but we don't want to, Tausi Melek didn't want to worship someone else than God. But the point is, this is a misrepresentation of this religion, and no one in the area would buy from the Yazidis, would eat their food, which I love. And when I go to Sharfadin, I pay my respect, I pay my obeisances to this place, because I recognize, and you know, we are facing another issue, the fanatism. Why don't people understand the simple truth? We have one God, and we have different names for Him, we worship Him in different ways, and by the way, it's nobody's business. It's my business, you know, like if somebody comes to me and say, are you this or are you that, why do you care? It's between me and God, not about you. So if God gave me freedom, why are you taking my freedom away, fanatic? You do not represent Allah or Yahweh or whoever you want to say. You do not represent, because you have, God gave me free will, thus I am exercising it. That's it. This is the key.
Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for coming out from Poland to to give us so much insight, not just about the film, but about the Yazidi culture and about your experience with it. And I want to hear more about the food, but but we'll see. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to. And thank you again, and congratulations.
We have a big, wonderful Yazidi community in Lincoln area. It's about 2,000 people. And you can eat wonderful Yazidi food, and people are very hospitable. When I was making a film, I was actually staying in Lincoln. So there is a community of Yazidis, fortunately, here. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming today and for being a part of this conversation. Thank you.
Conclusion of our program. Before we exit to enjoy the reception where the conversation can continue, please don't stop. Hannah is here, Dr. Sharif is here, Maha is here, so let's just take it outside. I want to thank the Women's Voices Now team, Becky Pine, Bani Ayala, and Sage Mendez. We're a small but mighty team, but there's so much heart and soul that goes into this work, and I appreciate everyone and their contributions. I want to draw your attention to the screen. There's a QR code featured up there that will take you to a page where you can become a monthly supporter of Women's Voices Now. We need your support in order to continue programs like these and to support women filmmakers all over the world who are bold and incredible. Crew membership starts as low as $5 a month, and it helps to sustain our work. And following this event, you're going to receive a survey, and we really do implement all the suggestions, so please take a moment to fill it out, and we appreciate your partnership in the work. So please go outside, enjoy the reception, grab some WVN swag, and please enjoy the afternoon together before going our separate ways. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a beautiful week.